What's up, everyone? You are watching video 2 in a 3-part series. If you haven't watched the first video in this series, make sure to click on it now and watch, and then come back here because each one of these videos builds upon each other. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you watch that first. So if you haven't been here before, hey, I'm Lindsay. I'm a financial therapist. I help couples get on the same page with their finances by using money psychology. In this series, I'm going over the 3 keys of being in a financially healthy romantic relationship. Today, we're talking about the second part in the 3 keys series. So the 3 keys to being financially healthy in your partnership are assess, alleviate, and amplify. So in our assess mode, we kind of dug into what might be going on and assessed how we're doing in our partnership. And in this one, we're getting rid of the stuff that isn't serving us. So before we really dive in, make sure to grab yourself a pen and paper or pencil, because you're gonna be ranking yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being you're not doing the things that I'm sharing with you, and 10 being you are doing amazing at the things that I'm sharing with you. And at the end, we'll take a look at your score and see what a good next step is for you to make sure that you are doing the things you need to be doing to be financially successful in your romantic relationship. So let's dive in. So there are 3 principles, just like last time, underneath the alleviate umbrella. They are up-leveling your financial goals, clarifying your numbers, and getting more money. So let's dive into the first one. So the first one addresses the problem of feeling like you don't know what money is doing for you besides the day-to-day stuff. So setting financial goals is really powerful in romantic relationships. If you've been following me, you know that I think that financial goal setting is a really, really good form of emotional intimacy in a relationship. So if you and your partner are not talking about retirement, you're not talking about saving for your future, you're not talking about, when you're gonna buy that new car or how you're gonna afford that next vacation, then give yourself a big fat 1 because you need to be making these goals. If you are doing a really good job of that and you are sitting down with your partner and you're creating financial goals together and as a team and you're reverse engineering your way there, then congratulations, give yourself a 10. So take a second and kind of think about where you are in terms of setting up those financial goals in your relationship. Jot down that number. If you need a second, go ahead and hit pause and then resume, and we'll jump on to the next principle under this umbrella. The second principle underneath this key is clarifying your numbers. So many couples fall victim to mental math, which is, oh, I have a pretty good idea of what's coming in and what's going out. Things seem to be kind of working themselves out. I'm not really finding myself in debt. I must be managing my money just fine. I don't need to look at it. That's super, super dangerous. So many people come to me saying things like that, like, well, I haven't gotten into financial trouble yet, so I don't really need a budget, and that is simply not true. When it comes to financial anxiety, the more we know about what's going on, the more likely it is that we'll feel less anxious. And when you're anxious in a relationship, it can manifest in all sorts of ways. So it's really important that you have an idea of what money is coming in, what money is going out, and you can answer that question pretty easily if somebody were to ask you. So that's kind of one side of the spectrum, is like, oh, I don't know kind of what's happening. Another thing I often hear with couples when they come in to meet with me is, well, I do the money and he does everything else, and we just kind of divide and conquer, and it works really well for us. Well, to that I have to say, I'm glad it works for you for now, but my guess is it's really not sustainable. What I see happen in couples where one person fully takes over the money and the other person fully takes a back seat is that when financial decisions have to be made that are a little bit on the bigger side, one person ends up feeling more like a child and the other person ends up feeling more like a parent, and it creates this really unhealthy dynamic between the partnership where they're no longer equals and one person is in charge. And that is not okay. day and it does not feel good. I don't think that both people in a couple have to necessarily be on the same page and managing the money exactly 50-50, but I do think both people need to know what's going on, even if one person kind of takes over the day-to-day management. So when it comes to ranking yourself for this one, this clarify your numbers piece, if you don't know how much you're making, if you don't know how much you're spending, and you don't know how much you are saving for your future, give yourself a 1. And if you know exactly how much money is coming in, exactly how much money is going out, and you are saving for your future, give yourself a 10. And I should clarify, when I say you in this particular one, I'm talking about both of you. Both partners need to know what's going on in order to give yourself a 10. So take a second again, kind of think about where you fall on that scale, jot down that number, and then we'll move on to number 3. Number 3 is getting more money. This one is so important, and the way that I like to think about this is that yes, you can save money. Yes, you can cut spending in certain areas, but one of the best ways to become financially secure is to increase the amount of money that you are bringing in. So I want you to think about, if you are traditionally employed, are you making as much money as you possibly can make in your role? And what I mean by that is, think about where you are in your company. Have you not gotten a raise in a long time, or have you kind of maxed out at your company? Think about whether or not you are getting paid appropriately, and not actually, scratch that, not just appropriately, but make sure you're getting paid the most you can be getting paid for your position. If not, give yourself a 1 on this. If you are absolutely getting the most amount of money that you can be making in your current position, you can give yourself a 10. When it comes to people who are self-employed, what I want you to think about is, can you raise your prices? Are you really charging the amount that is still sustainable for your business? I don't want you just to like pick a number out of thin air and decide to start charging that just because I told you to. I'm telling you to charge the most amount of money that you can in order to keep your business sustainable. So if you haven't gotten a raise in a while, if you haven't raised your prices in a while, and you are self-employed, now is go time. If you know that you are leaving money on the table, then you do not get to give yourself a 10 in this scenario. So take a second and think about where you are. Are you more on the 1, like you know you're making less than your colleagues, or you know you are undercharging for your services? Or are you a 10? You go in and you ask for a raise every single year. You make sure to raise your prices every single year, so on and so forth. All right. So tally up your score. If you scored a 21 or less, I want you to jump into the description box and be sure to grab my free handout on the 5 ways to get the money conversation started with your partner. In this particular key, we talked a lot about the money side of things, so this is a really great exercise to grab when you're ready to start talking about money with your partner and you're ready to dive in a little bit more. And make sure to hit that subscribe, because our next video is the 3rd and final video in this series, and what we're going to do is put together our score from video 1, your score from today's video in video 2, and your score in video 3, and see what a good next step is overall. So be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on it, and I'll see you as soon as that video goes live.